Yeah.
That's the way I go. That's the way it's meant to be.
If a tree falls on Dean while he's sleeping, that's just the way it's meant to be.
Yep,
Yeah.
just leave me. I told him that. I'm like, guys, if I happen to die up here, just go.
Take us first light and then go.
Take my first light, sell it on Marketplace, and then call it a day.
All right. Well, I think wrapping up that segment, me and Yigs have a new segment that we're also starting. And I believe this is the first podcast that we are doing it with. And it's perfect because I have a hot take about elk hunting compared to whitetail hunting. And now that you guys have all three experienced both, you can either vastly disagree with me or agree with me. My hot take is I think an elk is easier to kill than a whitetail. And no. What? Go ahead.
You didn't even give them the full name of the segment. It's Landshake Hot Takes, guys.
Landshake Hot Takes. And my Landshake Hot Take is an elk is easier to kill than a whitetail. From the experiences I've had with elk and just the videos I've watched, it almost seems like every time a guy is shooting an elk, the elk is just staring at him. And in my mind, well, first of all, you would never be able to walk through a woods and call at whitetails like you do an elk. Elk is a lot bigger target. Okay. A lot bigger target. They rarely ever duck an arrow. You can shoot an elk at like 80 yards. You could never do that with a whitetail. And I think, and this is probably totally, I will give elk the benefit of the doubt because they have probably much less human interaction than a whitetail does. But I think when I think a pressured whitetail is way harder to kill than an elk. That's just my take. So now that you guys have done both, I want to hear what you think.
Who wants to go first?
I mean,
Jerry does.
I disagree.
Jerry does.
I disagree because it's not okay. So yes, I can see where you're coming from because once you get back there, you get to call at them, and if they want to talk, you know where they're at. You can get in their bubble and maybe call them in. Like in that way, just locating them is a lot easier. They do have a bigger body, so it's a easier target, but I mean,
hey, they're still not that easy to hit.
Still hard to hit. Yeah, and I guess my reasoning for disagreeing is because at least the way we did it, it's everything else that goes into the hunt. Getting back there is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, like just physically and then mentally as well. So that's a big part of it. Also, and maybe it's just from our lack of experience, but just having to I felt like we had to figure out so much more stuff than in the whitetail woods. And that probably is just experience. But yeah, short answer, I think it's everything else that goes into the hunt.
Do you think that it can vary based off of a unit you're hunting? Like say you have a really, really good elk draw.
Yeah.
Like obviously you guys went to probably one of the
there's-
hardest elk hunts in the world. So
Right. No, I mean, there's rich people that get a tag every single year in the best unit in New Mexico or whatever state it is. They climb in a blind and hunt water, and they shoot a 400-inch bull every year. Like, it all depends on the kind of hunt you're doing, I guess. But you could say the
Travis,
same about
what do you
whitetails,
got?
though.
That's true.
Honestly, apples to apples, Sam, I think you might be right. Because like Jared said,
yes,
it's the getting back there part. I mean, apples to apples, if we're talking like mature whitetails or bulls on fairly pressured pieces of public ground, I think that in terms of, I mean, whitetail hunting, there's levels to it, obviously. Like, sure, you can go a mile back on public here in southwest Wisconsin, and that's considered a long ways. But I mean, you go out west, like we said, we went back 7 miles, and it took us 8 hours to get back in there. And there are aspects of it, but I got away with the first bull we called in. I got away with things you would never get away with a whitetail. I mean, except for maybe if you had a buck like in lockdown with a doe, when they're just stupid
Right.
and you can get away with a little bit more. But I mean, I was crawling over stuff. I don't know. He let me get away with just a lot more movement and a noise than a whitetail would, but it's a different game. Because
Mhm.
like with an elk, it's a lot more intense. There's more noise because they're expecting to hear noise. I mean, it's another whatever 6,
Yeah.
7, 800-pound animal that they think is over there. So I don't know. I think there's more to it. There's more depth to it. But
There definitely is, and I might
yeah,
if maybe come this time next year when I have an elk hunt under my belt and
mhm,
I talk about this, I will be like, I was totally wrong about that. But just the way
yeah,
I see it is, you watch. This is a whole different discussion too, but you watch a whitetail walk through the woods, and I've just never seen an animal so in touch with what is going on around it. I think it's incredible, and maybe
mhm,
elk are the same. So I don't know that.
yeah. I mean, I feel like they know that mountain just as well as a whitetail might know the swamp he lives in or the block of timber. But there's different skills you need to bring to the table. I think that, like, I don't know. If you're hunting elk the way that we're hunting, you need to learn to call. I think that Jared did a really, really good job calling. I mean, he called in 2 really nice bulls, and the second bull, he was fully convinced that we were just another elk pushing
Hmm.
cows around by him. And I mean, that was really cool to see him just come in pretty much silent. I mean, kind of ready for a fight.
Right.
But I don't know. There's another aspect of like going into a really pressured piece of public ground and finding the biggest buck in there, and like knowing how to access, when to access, having tree stand placement. So I don't know, maybe it's a draw, but
Yeah.
depends on how you do it. But yeah,
I appreciate the controversy because we needed that for
yeah.
sake of conversation topic.
Dean, you got anything as we wrap
Yeah.
up this final segment? Oh
Oh
boy.
yeah, I've been thinking about what I wanted to say, and it's kind of inconclusive. I would say I disagree overall, just because I don't know, from what you put in terms of work, climbing up that mountain, you're not going to be able to do it forever. And to me, just viewing it like that, you can be 40, 50, 60 years old and walk to your stand for whitetail. And it's just like, you're not going to be able to do an elk hunt forever.
Yeah.
I think it really is apples to oranges though. Like you can't, it's really hard it's two different totally styles of hunting. I mean, and I would also argue, Sam, that you kind of can call a whitetail. Not really, but like there are certain calls that you have your snort wheeze and your grunts. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of just about it. Um, and I think also like what you see on YouTube is the best of the best. You don't see the miles that get put in before that. You don't see the thousands of dollars spent in gear. You don't see the training that goes into it, and that part makes it really hard. I think in terms of maybe the actual hunting, maybe it is easier to hunt whitetail. Um, maybe it is easier. I mean, to hunt elk. But like just everything that goes in preparation for that, it's just crazy. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, when I have an elk under my belt, I might be in total disagreement with what I'm saying right now, but I think that was a good topic of conversation. I'm glad you guys, I think, even just in that conversation, you guys brought up a lot of good points about elk hunting compared to whitetail hunting, which are probably the two big, big game species that get hunted in
Mhm.
North America. So
That's going to be a good TikTok, Sam. Like that's going to spark some controversy, and people are going to
Yeah.
give you some heat for that. I think.
oh, if
But
that blows
we'll
up, I'm in trouble. I
bring it
know
on,
that.
guys. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Well,
It's a hot take session. You gotta have people upset.
I'm right here, baby.
I do have another hot take because I know a lot of diehard elk hunters are not gonna like me comparing these two, but there was a time with both those bulls where I had a very similar feeling to calling turkeys. Like we've all called turkeys in.
Yeah.
There's a point when you're calling when you're like, okay, I got him, he's coming. And there was a point with both of those bulls where I was like, okay, Jared's got him. Like, he's coming. We're going to get something, like we're going to get some sort of opportunity because he's coming now. So that aspect of it, I don't know. I haven't done a lot of calling at whitetails. I haven't been in a lot of those situations, but you don't really get that,
Yep.
It's
That's
like,
awesome.
I hope he's coming. Maybe if you've have a certain buck pinned down or, deer pattern to a spot, once you see them, you're like, okay, I know they're going to come through this crossing. But
yeah. That's pretty cool.
That was one
Makes
big
me
takeaway.
excited.
Oh, it was exciting.
Yeah.
Well, we'd love to hear everybody's comments, who's listening, and send us a message and let us know if Sam's correct or if he's an idiot.
Yeah, don't give away any of my handles for this one, probably.
Well,
I'll deal with them virtually.
Yeah, there you go. Keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is our very first recorded podcast of the Shakedown, available on all podcast platforms as you listen to your podcast. Make sure to be checking them out every Thursday for a new upload. We'll be uploading some clips periodically here and there of some funny topics, some hot topics, some controversial topics, even some good tips here and there. But if you want to hear the whole podcast, you'll have to go to wherever you listen to your podcasts on every Thursday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We've got a lot of great guests coming up, a lot of great topics. We can't wait for you guys to listen to them and to watch some of these clips on YouTube. Hope you enjoy. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you guys in the next one.